How's it going, everyone? Working on ITL 520, week 3, discussion 1. We're talking about metacognition here. The prompt says, describe your reading experiences. What are the highs and lows, interests and regrets as they relate to reading? What is metacognition? How do you understand it? What does metacognition look like as it relates to literacy in a secondary classroom? What could metacognition practice look like in your content area classroom? And how can you encourage and promote metacognition in your classroom when students are being asked to read? So my reading experiences in general, I'd like to describe myself as a voracious reader. I try to limit interaction with too much media, social media. I try to value education over entertainment as much as I possibly can. And with that, I am reading material other than what we touch on in this program. I try to read for pleasure as much as I can, just because I think it's healthy for the mind. And I try to pick challenging text. Wasn't the best reader growing up. I remember grinding through scenarios in grade school where my comprehension wasn't the best and I needed extra attention as a student. So with that being said, I still have areas of weakness when it comes to reading and remembering information and applying it. But I try to challenge myself. For instance, I'm reading a book right now on value investing. And when talking about the metacognitive process, I do come across passages in this book where I don't understand the vocabulary that's being used, or sometimes I don't even understand an entire passage. And mentally, that kind of eats at me because, I'm super hard on myself, and I think about, wow, I'm 29 years old. I should know what this means. But from what I understand after reading the articles and using the resources that we were given on this discussion, I found that metacognition is not just having a conversation with the author. It's more of what process did I take to find out what this means. So what that looks like or how that relates to literacy in a secondary classroom. I can relate, I guess, the third and fourth bullet point. What could metacognition practices look like in your content area classroom? I can relate this to all the hitting and catching lessons that I've done throughout my individual business career. I've been working with hitters and catchers of all ages for the past year and a half, and I think it's kind of the same thing where you try to connect with the player and find out kind of what his funds of knowledge is, and then structure conversation or structure language in a way that will help optimize that individual player's learning. So, if we're talking about posture in a baseball swing, for some hitters, I can use, hey, keep your spine angle over the plate like this, and some players are more in tune with their body, so they can control their chest more. But with other players, you might just want to say, keep your eyes down, and that takes care of the posture itself. You don't have to worry about what other body parts are doing. So it's just figuring out what each person connects with better and using that process to best help them. The last one says, how can you encourage and promote metacognition in your classroom when students are being asked to read? Challenging them to find the process or find their own personal process to understand a passage or a word. Like I said, so for me, I know it's not metacognition, but something that I do when I read is I'll either break a page up into passages, or I'll just focus on the entire page. And after I read that page, I'll try to regurgitate it in my own head. Now, that's not what metacognition is, but when I do come to a challenging part, it's the process that I take to figure out what that means. So maybe I read it again. I look around for other vocab terms that I do understand that are surrounding the word that I don't understand. So maybe it's connecting the dots and trying to figure out what the author's trying to say through that way. So again, this was super informative for me. I thought metacognition meant something completely different, but it's basically finding our own process of understanding text, and it's thinking about the way that we think. So like I said, this was great. It was super informative. It helped me reflect on myself when it comes to reading. So you guys let me know what you think. Thanks a lot.